And hi, everybody. Welcome on into another edition of the SkyCast, the weekly roll around the Big Sky Conference. I'm John Oglesby.
Jason Ashcraft.
Brad Wall.
And really an exciting weekend this past weekend in the Big Sky Conference. We got another big weekend coming up. First, we're going to start as we do every week with women's soccer, where we have clinched the regular season conference champ.
Yeah, we clinched the regular season conference champ. Congrats to the University of Idaho, their very first Big Sky Women's Soccer Championship.
Yep.
Very first Big Sky soccer team to win 9 games in a season. Of course, we have more teams now than we used to.
Yeah.
They have the chance to be the first team in about 14 years to have a completely unblemished record if they win on Friday. We'll preview that later. But once again, congrats to the University of Idaho. They picked up 2 big wins last weekend, clinched the Big Sky tournament champion, or the Big Sky regular season championship tournament hosting rights. That'll take place next week in Moscow, Idaho. But going on to Player of the Week, it was a big week all around. Congratulations to Eastern Washington's Amy Nthule, picking up her first Player of the Week offensive honor. She was joined by Tori Braley from Northern Arizona, another offensive Player of the Week. It was good for these 2 players because Eastern Washington needed to pick up a win on Sunday in order to stay in tournament bye seeding situations, and they certainly did that. And then with Northern Arizona, they needed to play well this weekend in order to hopefully make the tournament. So Tori Braley stepped up to the plate for the Lumberjacks. And then Kaylee Norman was our Defensive Player of the Week twice this season now for Kaylee. She's the goalkeeper from Montana. Had a great weekend and once again helped Montana seal their fate. They're going to the Big Sky tournament. So this week we'll see how seeding plays out, but it was a big weekend last week. Once again, congrats to the Vandals.
We'll preview what's coming up later this weekend in women's soccer in a couple segments, but let's move to what happened on the hardwood with volleyball, Brad.
Yeah, so I mean, it was a pretty good week if you're in the South Division, particularly atop the South Division. You have Idaho State, Sacramento State, and Northern Arizona all going 2-0 over the week. Idaho State with 2 pretty big statement wins, 2 sweeps over Eastern Washington and Idaho, the top 2 teams in the North Division. Sacramento State sweeping both the Montana schools. And Northern Arizona, they sweep North Dakota. And then, man, Northern Colorado, they just, they're lower in the standings, but they're giving everybody a fight.
Yeah.
They're a good volleyball team. Northern Arizona outlasts them in 5 sets. And Eastern Washington and Idaho, they kind of cement themselves a little more atop of the North Division with wins over Weber State. North Dakota, man, they go 5 sets against Southern Utah. Man, that was just a marathon. It was insane. There was at one point, North Dakota was at set point. I think it was the 3rd set. They had a Southern Utah girl dive over the scores table to keep a volley going, and then Southern Utah ends up winning the set.
Oh wow!
That. So it was just bonkers, and it goes 19-17 in the 5th set.
Oh my goodness!
If you look at the box score from that match, it's just insane. You have like Sydney Griffin had 70 assists, Mackenzie Hart 50 digs. The libero.
That's pretty good. That was a good
second most ever by a Big Sky player. So that was just phenomenal to watch. And Montana, they beat Portland State. Portland State comes back. Portland State kind of kept the mathematical situations intact. So no one was able to clinch this last weekend. They're still at 7 losses, 3 wins. So. But this week it can kind of all shape up. The clinching scenarios are going to go fast. And then players of the week, we just kind of talked about one. Mackenzie Hart we ended up coing her with Janae Vanderploeg for Northern Arizona. Kind of an interesting situation where you have players of the week. They had played each other during the week, but it was hard not to recognize Hart's performance on Saturday. But then Janae Vanderploeg, 39 kills, 20 digs, 333 hitting percentage. As NAU improves to 9-1 in conference play. I mean, that's her 3rd Player of the Week out of this season. She's making a huge case for the MVP award.
Yeah.
She has a chance this week to be the active career leader on NAU's kills list. So just having a phenomenal season for the Lumberjacks. Be exciting to see what kind of accolades she gets through the rest of the year.
No doubt about that. What happened this weekend across country?
Not a lot. You had 11 teams idle. They're tapering for Big Skies, and Northern Arizona, they didn't really send as many. They kind of just got some freshmen, some experience, kind of gave them a last chance to make a case to be on the roster this weekend. So we'll preview these Big Sky Championships in a bit here on the show.
Yeah, we got the Big Sky Cross Country tournament or meet coming up in Cedar City this weekend. We'll talk about it, like Brad said, coming up in our second segment. Let's move to what happened in golf this week. Fellas, this weekend, pretty much the last week of golf for the fall season in the Big Sky. Big congratulations out to Daniel Sutton of the University of Idaho, who did well at the Prices Give 'em 5 tournament hosted by New Mexico State. He's your Big Sky Men's Golfer of the Week. And then Sophie Hausman of the University of Idaho, the Vandals, taking the clean sweep of Golfer of the Week honors this week. She's your Big Sky Women's Golfer of the Week. Places high in the Vegas Invitational hosted by UNLV. Finished under par at a tournament at Boulder Creek, which coincidentally is where the Big Sky Championships will be hosted come the
she's
spring.
familiarizing herself with the course. And
Absolutely.
now she's going to have a little bit of confidence going into the spring.
No doubt about
What
that.
a week in Moscow, huh?
Oh my goodness, we got sweeping the golf awards.
Yep.
You got women's soccer. It's a big time up in Moscow right now. So good time to be a Vandal. Congrats out to Daniel and Sophie for winning those awards. Let's turn to what happened on the gridiron this past weekend. It was another crazy weekend in Big Sky football. I'm going to read off some of the results, some of which may have surprised you. We're going to start out Montana, 42-16 victory over North Dakota. With the Grizz being at home, I think a lot of people saw that, Montana definitely in position to pick up a win, but a dominating game really for them. McKenna Simmons, their quarterback, his first ever collegiate start, throws 6 touchdown passes. That ties a record that's held by Jordan Johnson and former Walter Payton Award winner Dave Dickinson for most touchdown passes in a game by a Grizz quarterback. What a performance to start out your career with as they win 42-16 over North Dakota. Eastern Washington had to come back late, but they get a victory over Northern Colorado, 43-41. Fellas, Northern Colorado did everything they needed to do to win this game, but in the end, they couldn't overcome the legend of Cooper Kupp.
This was a crazy game. Crazy game. I followed part of it on Twitter, and then I saw how close it was. I need to get on Watch Big Sky and see this thing. And, you feel bad for the Bears. They really put it all on the line.
2 special teams touchdowns.
Yeah, and anytime
anytime
that sort of thing happens, you think, okay, we're in the driver's seat. But once again, Cooper Kupp, we can't say enough about him. Stepping up to the plate, taking care of business for the Eagle.
Well, it's interesting. Northern Colorado, or Eastern Washington rather, they got a 12-point lead with about 5-6 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Northern Colorado comes back. They recover that onside kick, get a couple scores, and then Cooper Kupp just goes off. Cooper picking up national awards all over the place. He shattered several Big Sky career records this weekend. He's in position to set several national records in the coming weeks. He's your Root Sports Co-Offensive Player of the Week, alongside sharing that award with Montana quarterback McKenna Simmons. And Cooper Kupp, 20 catches, 275 yards, 3 touchdowns.
You kind of just had a feeling that Northern Colorado, they score that go-ahead touchdown. They left them too much time.
Too much time. Too much time. I know, yeah.
And they missed that extra. They don't convert the 2-point conversion.
Yeah, absolutely.
How big was that?
It was really that. It was a game right there. So, yeah, interesting weekend in Greeley. Eastern Washington, Northern Colorado both got big games coming up this weekend. We'll talk about that coming up a little bit later in the show. Montana State with a 63-7 victory over East Tennessee State. If you want to hear quarterback Dakota Prukop's thoughts on that victory, as well as where the Bobcats are going after it, go to the Big Sky Conference YouTube page. Go to 2015 Big Sky Football, and then on the episode of This Week in Big Sky Football, Dakota, one of our guests alongside Northern Arizona coach Jerome Sowers. Let's move to Northern Arizona. They pick up a 52-36 victory over Weber State. With that victory, Jerome Sowers now the all-time leader in Big Sky Conference wins by a Big Sky coach, as Jerome Sowers with 69 passes. Former Nevada coach Chris Alt, who had 68. And I I don't want to spend as much time on Coach Sauer's career because we all know it's been a tremendous career at Northern Arizona. I want to talk about this game. Case Cookus comes out on fire. Weber State didn't play well by their own admission in the first half. They come back. This is a one-score game in the fourth quarter. Weber comes back to make a push, and Northern Arizona pulls away. I was really impressed by the Lumberjacks' resiliency.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was a little surprised by the final score, personally. I thought Weber State was I thought Weber State was going to keep it a little tighter.
Yeah,
they did, but you can't get behind too much in the first half. You can't. You got to be on point the entire game. But congrats to Coach Sauers. I mean, to pick up a win at home, the win at home that puts you over the edge as the winningest coach in Big Sky history is got to feel great for him.
No doubt about that. Case Cook is Northern Arizona quarterback, by the way. He continues to lead the nation in passing efficiency. So something to keep your eyes on as the season goes forward from there. Other scores this weekend. Southern Utah with a 34-6 win over UC Davis. Thunderbirds just keep rolling on, fellas.
Yep.
They've picked up, they're now 4-0 in the conference. Again, they don't allow a touchdown, only field goals. They've allowed a total of 9 points in 4 games of the conference season. Is James Kauser, Southern Utah defensive end, your Root Sports Defensive Player of the Week, had a few tackles for loss. Also had a forced fumble that they ended up turning into an Ammon Olsen touchdown. James Kauser, I'm going to be at the game in Cedar City this weekend when they play Cal Poly, and that's going to be a great test for them. But James Kauser, after this weekend, less than 2 tackles away from breaking the all-time career record in the Big Sky for tackles for loss. So something to keep your eye on there. A fun statistical note, Southern Utah, again, big victory over UC Davis. Sacramento State, 38-13. The Hornets get a home victory over Idaho State. These are 2 teams that I think to this point in the season haven't maybe achieved at the level they were hoping for. But for Sacramento State, they won their opening game and then just went on that streak of losses. They had 6 straight losses. They start another quarterback, Nate Ketteringham, but he does well. He's a freshman. He does well, throws some touchdowns. They get a pick 6 as well. Good win for Sacramento State to come back from that long losing streak.
Yeah, and to get their confidence back up, too.
Yeah. Idaho State dealing with some injuries at the quarterback position, so we'll have to see how that plays out throughout the rest of the season. Finally, Portland State. Barney Ball rolls on, and it rolls through San Luis Obispo with a 38-35 win. Portland State kicker Jonathan Gonzalez is your Root Sports Special Teams Player of the Week. 3 field goals, including a game winner at the end, where they were able to overcome Cal Poly. This was a classic back-and-forth battle. Cal Poly, the nation's leading rushing offense. But once again, Portland State able to make the plays that they need to make to win a football game.
And we need to get some Barney Ball t-shirts up in here.
We're going to see what we can do about that.
I saw them on TV. I saw them on Root Sports, the Barney Ball, #BarneyBall shirts. I think we should get some up.
How about the all-around game from Alex Correct?
Oh, right.
2 rushing touchdowns, 2 passing touchdowns. Led the Vikings in rushing. Huge performance in that tight of a game. Facing a good Cal Poly defense.
Good Cal Poly defense. Again, Cal Poly is going to be involved in, I think, one of the best games of the weekend coming up this weekend. We'll preview that when we return. We'll take a break first. We'll come back. We'll talk about what's coming up, volleyball and women's soccer in the Big Sky Conference. That's all coming up with more right after this break. You're watching the SkyCast. Welcome back, everybody, inside the SkyCast. I'm John Oglesby, along with Jason Ashcraft and Brad Wall. We're going to preview what's coming up this weekend in Olympic sports in the Big Sky Conference. We're going to start first with Jason in soccer, then we'll move on to volleyball and cross country with Brad. But Jason?
Sure. Last weekend was our decision day when it came to finding out who the champion was or could be. This weekend means a lot for seeding.
Yeah.
Right now, no one else besides Idaho has clinched a seed. So we have a lot of great games coming up. Only one of them available on WatchBigSky.com, but there is also some available on school websites that we'll let you know about in our weekend viewing guide. Northern Colorado is at North Dakota on Friday. All these games are on Friday, by the way. This is a big-time matchup. Northern Colorado needs a win or a tie and an Eastern Washington loss to move up into second place in the conference standings. That kick is at 3 p.m. Central. Northern Arizona is at Southern Utah. This is also a big one for making that final seed in the tournament. We have some clinching scenarios listed in this week's notes. Eastern Washington is at Idaho. Now, this is a big-time matchup for the Eagles. They can put a blemish on Idaho's record, and if they pick up a win or a tie and Northern Colorado loses, then Eastern Washington will be our second-place team.
I like this matchup a lot because, I mean, that could be, you never know, that could be the championship, a preview of the championship in a couple weeks here, potentially a number 1 and number 2 seed in the tournament. So
Yeah.
Especially it's
lot
got
of
to be
stuff
fun.
riding
It's
on
got to
it.
be fun with those two teams so close.
a little bit of rivalry in
A
the
little bit of
Blues.
border war, yeah.
Yeah, you got to think that Eastern Washington is looking at this as their rivalry
Yep.
game. And there's a lot on the line, not just to kind of play spoiler for the Vandals on going undefeated and untied, but to also get that second seed, which gives you a bye to the semifinals. Then we've got Portland State at Sacramento State. Sacramento State is also in a position to get that final seed.
Yep.
That's a 3:30 p.m. Pacific kick. Weber State at Idaho State. Weber State's already clinched a spot in the tournament.
Yes, they have.
They could move up in the standings if they pick up a win. Idaho State looking for their first Big Sky Conference win of the season. You can watch that one on the Idaho State website. And then Montana is our only non-conference game. They're heading down to Austin to face the Longhorns of Texas. Good luck to the Grizz. Texas is a very good program, but you never know. The way the Grizz have been playing lately, they could go down to Austin and sneak out with a win. So good luck to all of our teams. It's going to be an exciting weekend in Big Sky Soccer.
No doubt about that. Remember, stay tuned to BigSkyConf.com for all the updates coming on that. Brad, let's preview what's coming up as far as clinching situations in volleyball.
Yeah, so this weekend we have 5 teams that could potentially clinch tournament bids, and mathematically a couple teams can be eliminated from contention as well. So really big week. Only 6 games left in the regular season, and it starts off with, I mean, this one is just screaming at me right now.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for it tonight. Northern Arizona, Idaho State.
Yeah.
You got the 2 teams, both 9-1, sitting atop the South Division. A little under 2 weeks ago, Northern Arizona, that won on the Idaho State's record. That's Northern Arizona.
Yep.
They knocked them off in Flagstaff 2 weeks ago. Now they're in Pocatello. It'll be interesting to see how home court advantage plays into this.
Yeah.
But just colossal matchup.
And Pocatello is, in my mind, one of the hardest places to play volleyball in the Big Sky. The fans are literally right there on the
top,
court. It's a smaller gym, and they love their Bengals there in Pocatello.
Tough place to travel to.
Yeah.
Also, especially flying out of Flagstaff. And then Eastern Washington, they have a chance at clinching. They host Montana and Montana State, as does Idaho. The Montana, Eastern Washington. Eastern's got 2 losses, one to Idaho State, the other to Montana. That's the surprising one. Eastern's got a lot to play for, though.
Yeah.
They can get their 9th win.
Absolutely.
They don't need, the thing with Eastern, they got tiebreakers over those bottom teams, so they just need a win and they're in. They clinch a tournament spot. Idaho, they need 2 wins. They take on Montana State Thursday, Montana Saturday, and then there's kind of a random mix. They either need Portland State to lose 1, or Northern Colorado. They're 4-6. If Northern Colorado lost 2, then they could clinch that way also. Sacramento State, they visit North Dakota Thursday, and then they take on Portland State Saturday. They can either win both those games or at least beat Portland State, and they're in. So, man, that South Division's just been impressive this year.
Absolutely.
When you look at those, NAU, Idaho State, Sacramento State. But Eastern Washington, Idaho, they have a chance to get, if Idaho can catch Eastern Washington, I think some people are confused about this. If you win your division, you're either a 1 or a 2 seed. So that plays a huge role in how you're finishing in the division. And you look at that Northern Arizona Idaho State matchup. That that can make the difference
huge.
between hosting, being a 3 or being a 3 or 4 seed. You never know. So big matchup there. And then we have Southern Utah at Weber State, Southern Utah at Idaho State, Northern Colorado at North Dakota Saturday, Portland State at Northern Colorado Thursday. This is a really big matchup because you got Portland State at 3-7. They're currently 9th in the standings. Northern Colorado 4-6. They're 8th. So Portland State gets this win. Guess who's in the tournament race now? Who's in tournament position? Portland State.
Yeah.
So that's a
Wide open.
yeah, absolutely. And I think that covers it for this weekend. It's funny how the clinching scenarios haven't played out yet, but once they do, those spots are going to go fast. So
Oh,
it'll be
absolutely.
really exciting to see.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's move our pace a little bit, and we will move to cross country. We got the Big Sky Championship meet coming up this weekend in Cedar City at the golf course there, which is a fun place to play. It should be a good course for the championships, Brad. Let's take a look at some of what's coming up this weekend in Cedar.
Yeah, so this is the first Big Sky Championship that Southern Utah's hosted.
Yep.
And coincidentally, their men have have a good shot at winning their first title
Yep.
in any Big Sky Conference sport as well. So a lot of stuff riding on this weekend. You got Northern Arizona. They've won the last 8 titles on the men's side. NAU, they won last year on the women's side as well. Weber State had won the previous 3. So you got a Weber State women's team with a chip on their shoulder going into this weekend. Really, if they could get their 4th title in the last 4 years, I mean, that's a huge statement there. Kind of looking individually, Eastern Washington, Sarah Ryder, she's the defending individual champion. Footsome Ziana Selassie for NAU, he's the defending champion on the men's side, but he's
Congrats
redshirting.
on pronouncing Footsome's name.
Yeah, he's the defending champion, but he's redshirting, so that leaves a spot open.
Yep.
When I was researching last year, it's interesting. All 10 all-conference performers from last year's meet on the women's side, all of them are in the field this year. So that all-conference team is going to be very impressive to me.
Absolutely.
You throw in, you got Sarah Ryder, Chloe Burley from Sac State in there. Weber State's got three really good all-conference performers: Haley Wetton, Ellie Child, and Jamie Stokes. You throw in Montana's McKenna Morley, really stellar freshman this season. Man, it's just going to be a fun meet to watch and see how that front pack plays out. And then on the men's side, this is weird. You only have 2 all-conference performers returning. You got Hayden Hawks for Southern Utah and Jake Turner for Montana State. He's been battling Achilles injury. Not sure what to expect from him this weekend. We'll see. Credit to him for battling through it. That's a huge injury when you're running 5 miles.
That's a huge injury anytime.
Yeah,
I can't imagine
yeah.
trying to run on it. So, hats off to him for attempting it.
Yeah, and then, you got Southern Utah in their first battle. NAU, they've been strong this year too.
Yeah.
Corey Glines, transfer from Michigan, having a good season for them. You look at that, Hayden Hawks and Jake Turner for Montana State, they're the top 2 returning finishers. Southern Utah's also got the 3rd best finisher from last year, and Mike Tate, won Athlete of the Week a couple weeks ago. Southern Utah, they kind of like to have all their guys up in the front pack, so I'll be curious to see how that plays out. You got NAU and Southern Utah, they've both been ranked nationally this year. Once the coaches figured out that Footsome and Nathan Whites were redshirting, they kind of started to fall off a little bit. But you got a lot of teams this weekend that are ranked strong in the U.S. Track and Field Cross Country Coaches Association regional rankings. Southern Utah men 6th, NAU 8th, Weber 12th, and Montana State 13th. And the Weber State women are ranked nationally right now, number 27 in the nation. I mean, I think you just have to say that they're going to be the favorites, but the NAU, they're going to have a strong deep team. Melanie Townsend, Ayla Freeman. They're gonna be challenging them for sure. And Eastern Washington could be kind of a dark horse as well. Both NAU and Eastern are ranked 6th in their regions. 6th in the West region for Eastern is very impressive. NAU in the Mountain region as well. And there's other teams on the women's side as well that have been strong this year. Montana State, Montana, Idaho State, they're ranked in the Mountain region as well. So it could be some good battles in each portion of the standings, no matter how you look at it.
It feels like, on the men's side at least, because the women's side in cross country is usually pretty wide open. There's 3 or 4 teams that are usually near the top, but it's kind of wide open normally. On the men's side, NAU, to their credit, have had a dynasty when it comes to cross
absolutely.
country. It seems like this year on the men's side, this might be the most wide open race that we've had in a while, with Southern Utah being good, NAU always being good. Weber State, as you mentioned, was up there. So I'm really excited to hear the reports from the tournament. I won't be making the trip; you guys will be, but it looks like it's going to be an exciting race.
Yeah, it should be a good time down
Yeah,
there.
and when Southern Utah entered the conference, they had a good distance program. That they were going to challenge at some point. These two red shirts by NAU kind of leave the door open. I think they would have been challenging with Footsum and Nathan White there. But now they've got their chance. And my friend Paul Lymph, he's the assistant coach there at Southern Utah. I know they're chomping at the bit for this meet. So
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun, that's for sure. Appreciate that preview. Again, look for content coming up this weekend on the Big Sky Cross Country Championships. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back and preview what's coming up this weekend in Big Sky football. Back in a moment on the SkyCast. And welcome back, everybody, for the final segment of this week's edition of the SkyCast, Episode 8. I'm John Oglesby, Jason Ashcraft, Brad Wall. Let's preview what's coming up this weekend in Big Sky football. Should be a good weekend of some great matchups that'll help at least add a little bit more clarity to the Big Sky Conference race. We'll start first, Montana State at North Dakota. These are two teams that are on the fringe right now of conference contention. This game is probably going to knock one of them out of being a contender in that race. Montana State and North Dakota, once again, that game kicks off 1 o'clock Central Time. You can watch it on Midcoast Sports as well as Cal's Media and, of course, watchbigsky.com. Weber State at Eastern Washington is your Root Sports game of the week, as Root Sports, the official television partner of the Big Sky Conference. It's a 12:05 Pacific Time kickoff on this game. Should be a fun one. Weber State kind of prides themselves on their defense. Eastern Washington, they like to score some points. So it should be interesting to see what happens that game on Root Sports as well as DirecTV's Audience Network. Another chance for Cooper Kupp to try and add a little bit more to his resume as a National Player of the Year candidate.
Yeah, this is, they use that buzzword on ESPN, separation Saturday, separation week. This might be that separation
I think
for
it
a
is.
lot of these teams. Weber State, if they can pick up a win at Eastern Washington, which is a very tough place to pick up a win, then they kind of catapult themselves back up into the conversation. But Eastern Washington with a chance to kind of, with the exception of Southern Utah and Portland State maybe nipping on their heels, Eastern Washington has a chance to really kind of separate themselves from the pack here.
No doubt. There's a few games that kind of help with that separation theme. We'll talk about a few of them coming up a little bit later. Cal Poly at Southern Utah. This isn't really a separation game, but I think it's a big statement game for Southern Utah. If you win this game, Cal Poly, the nation's leading rushing offense, I think you show that you're a legitimate team in the eyes of national poll voters. I think people start to look at you as a serious team that's going to be in it for the long haul. So big weekend, I think, for the Thunderbirds. It's going to be a jam-packed sports weekend in Cedar City.
What a matchup for James Hauser. A guy they're gonna need him to make some tackles for a loss when you got quarterbacks and running backs pitching balls left and right and making reads.
It's going to be interesting.
They're going to have to make it tough on them. They've allowed 9 points in conference games this season. You have to think Cal Poly's looking to score some points. So
it's disappointing a little bit because let's say Southern Utah wins this game, Eastern Washington wins, they both move to 5-0. They don't play each other this year, and it's a little disappointing that you're not going to see that matchup unless it happens in the playoffs potentially. But yeah, like Brad said, Southern Utah, real good opportunity here to step up the defense against Cal Poly.
Yeah, and like I say, to make a statement, Montana at Portland State, this is kind of a separation Saturday type game. These two teams both have one loss in conference. They're both nationally ranked, both trying to contend. This game, a loss here, I don't think knocks either one of them out of playoff contention, but what it does is it knocks them in, from what I've looked at the math, it'll knock them out of conference title race contention. So this is a big weekend for those teams.
Once this whole Barney ball got rolling, you started to circle this game. This game and the Montana State game on the schedule for Portland State, and they're in Portland. It's home field advantage for the Vikings. Hopefully, for
Providence
them.
Park.
At Providence Park, you probably expect a bigger crowd there, and this is one game that if you are going to watch a game this week, make sure you go watch Big Sky and tune into this.
And you look at Eastern Washington and Southern Utah on the top there. If they get knocked off this weekend, guess who's up there with them? Between Portland State and Montana, whoever gets that win, they're 4-1. They're tied.
And that's very, very true right there. Southern Utah still got a lot of tough games, as does Portland State. But Montana and Portland State, that kickoff of that game will be at 2 o'clock Pacific time. You can watch that game on Cal's Media in the state of Montana, as well as watchbigsky.com. Then your final game, this is all an early afternoon game, so you'll be done in plenty of time after you watch Big Sky football to go get some candy. Nobody judges you if you go trick-or-treating at whatever age you are. But Northern Colorado and Northern Arizona, this is a separation Saturday type game. These are two teams, again, they're on the fringe, really kind of hanging around, but whoever wins this game, they get to kind of hang around for another week and see what happens. It's kind of a playoff type feeling. I would say for Weber State, Montana, Portland State, not as much Southern Utah, but Northern Colorado, Northern Arizona, it's all kind of the playoffs right now for those teams because they're in contention. Some are in better spots than others, but they've all got to keep winning games.
I think Northern Arizona and Northern Colorado are probably two of the most well-matched teams that you're going to see.
Very even matchup this weekend.
Yeah, and going into the season, you can kind of see that.
Yeah.
And this is going to be a really tough game for both teams, and it's on Fox Sports Arizona, so those of you can watch it. Even outside of Arizona, I get Fox Sports Arizona. This is going to be a very exciting game because of the matchup.
Yeah, it absolutely should. We'll run through those game times again real quick. Montana State at North Dakota, 1 o'clock Central at the Alara Center on Midcoast Sports Network, Cal's Media, as well as watchbigsky.com. Weber State and Eastern Washington at high noon Pacific time. That's on Root Sports, as well as DirecTV's Audience Network. Cal Poly at Southern Utah, 3 o'clock Mountain Time down at Eccles Coliseum. You can watch that game on watchbigsky.com. Montana at Portland State, 2:05 kickoff at Providence Park on Cal's Media in Montana, as well as watchbigsky.com. And then Northern Colorado and Northern Arizona, 2 o'clock Pacific time, Walk Up Sky Dome, Fox Sports Arizona, as well as watchbigsky.com. Fellas, great show today. Anything else we want to talk about real quick?
Just remember, we've got the cross-country championships coming up this weekend. Next week, the soccer championships. We might not be able to do a SkyCast because of travel. So stay tuned to watchbigsky.com. You can catch all the soccer championship on that. And just keep coming on our website and checking out what's new.
And remember, basketball season just around the corner. We'll get into some of that in a couple weeks. RoadToReno.com. Start buying those tickets to the Big Sky Basketball Championships. That's going to do it for us, everybody. I'm John Oglesby.
Jason Ashcraft.
Brad Wall.
Thanks so much for watching the SkyCast. Take care, everybody.